I'm Joe Shapley and I'll be in conversation today with Mark Wheeler, Commercial Director of Guardtech Cleanrooms. Why don't you tell us a little bit about who Guardtech Cleanrooms are?
Sure, thanks Joe. So Guardtech are a design and build company for cleanroom construction. We're a business that started in the year 2000. We spun out of another company called Guardtech. That business goes all the way back to 1981. That was started by my father, Ray Wheeler. And really Guardtech was born out of a need from a number of our client base as Guardtech that were looking for a provider of cleanrooms that weren't kind of on the large scale, on kind of the smaller scale of construction projects that could really give them tailored, flexible solutions and kind of hold their hand through the process. So initially we got into the market by finding and sourcing cleanrooms, and eventually the same customers kind of came back to us and said, that's great, thanks very much, but who's going to build them? So that's how we turned into a construction company. Today we've kind of grown over our 20-year period to become a turnover of around £5 million a year, and we run a number of large-scale turnkey projects for the life science industry, so pharmaceutical, medical device, aerospace, and we also do smaller modular builds for a number of related industries, so the R&D applications, universities, hospitals, those kind of things.
What is it that you think sets Guardtech apart from the rest?
So I think most importantly we are essentially a problem-solving business. So I think we thrive on the challenge of solving clients' problems, and I think that is kind of completely endemic through the whole company. So whether that's the directors and how we set the strategy of the business, or whether it's the the installation team on the ground who are reacting to day-to-day problems and finding small solutions and maybe even longer-term solutions that they feed back into the business. I think everybody is about solving problems for businesses, and I think that's where clients respect what we do. They essentially come to us with their own issues, and those issues usually relate to the building itself, to the budget, to a myriad of different problems that clients present. Essentially our task is to take that and spin it into the very best project that we can give for the client and give them the best end result. And I would say that's what we do very, very well. Our ops director here, Mr. Gartek, Conor Barwise, is excellent at kind of handling projects and communicating those with clients, and I think again that's something that our customer base really, really respects, is the fact that we're able to communicate throughout the whole stage of the process, keep them involved, but at the same time take a lot of the hassle and headache away from them. I would say, really our business is our team. That is the USP of this company. That's the heart of this business. And I think the team, especially over the last 12 months, this whole kind of pandemic situation, they've really shown their mettle. We've been involved in a number of different projects that they've really pulled together, found solutions to really tricky problems, and put unbelievable hours of graft in. So that, in a nutshell, I would say is probably our team is the heart of Guardtech.
So how has the COVID-19 pandemic affected Guardtech specifically then, Mark?
Well, I think firstly it's obviously affected us all in so many different ways. It's really affected kind of the mental health of the whole nation, and the way that we interact, the way that we socialise, the way that we even kind of express affection with each other. So I think it's had an untold impact on society that I don't think any of us really kind of forecasted. I think what it has done though is, don't get me wrong, there's obviously been some incredible negatives, but there's also, I think, been some huge positives. We've seen this kind of collaborative effort come out of trying to resolve this challenge. We've seen a number of businesses that previously would be classed as competitors kind of come together and work together and find solutions to these kind of new challenges. So I think people that were once previously competitors obviously still remain so in a business sense, but have found a way to be allies during the pandemic. And I think as much as it's been terrible, it's also brought out some of the best in humanity. I think from our kind of point of view, obviously business has continued, business has kind of changed and evolved to match the pandemic really, and we've really tried to focus on projects where we can have some kind of a positive impact on being a part of the solution. So what we do doesn't necessarily directly have any impact on the COVID pandemic, but we can support others that are having a direct impact. And so we've really tried to, over the last 12 months, or not quite so that far, over the last 6 months, let's say, focus the business on solving COVID-related projects and working on trying to support those people that are best placed to resolve the pandemic.
So Mark, tell me, what kind of projects have you been involved with that are related to the COVID-19 pandemic?
I think over the course of the virus, the projects that we've been involved with have kind of evolved. So the initial wave of projects essentially related to the ventilator challenge. So you probably remember the media around this exercise of trying to upscale the amount of ventilators that we had in this country. And at that time that seemed medically like the best solution and scenario to support the NHS. So there was a big drive by the UK government to increase the amount of ventilators that we had in the country, and a number of partnerships kind of formed trying to develop new ventilators and upscale existing ventilators. We work with a number of people within that supply chain who were called upon to essentially upscale their facility so that they could meet the demand of these ventilators. One project that sticks in my mind is we work with a valve manufacturer that essentially needed to extremely quickly triple their capacity. And so their production facility wasn't well equipped for that. What they did have was a big canteen upstairs, a big space that they could repurpose. So we worked with them to repurpose that facility to a manufacturing suite. And one of the things that we got involved with, which is really kind of beyond our realm of expertise, but it called upon kind of the engineering knowledge that we have in this business, was to work on 2 lifts that could transport goods and components from the first floor to the second floor. It's the only way to access that space. So it was actually, I think, the Wednesday we were called in for a meeting with them as to include this into our brief as part of the project. On the Wednesday evening and on the Thursday morning, we developed the design for this. On the Thursday afternoon, we sourced all of the components, and on the Friday and the Saturday, we actually went and built these 2 goods lifts and commissioned them. So that was really the first wave was very much this very quick turnaround projects to focus on ventilators. That then kind of moved really into the second wave of the media then kind of re-jumped on the bandwagon of shortage of PPE in the NHS, and obviously that was directly impacting lives and putting our key workers at risk. So we were really proud to be involved in a number of projects to upscale British manufacturing of PPE. It's something that's really close to my heart, coming from a manufacturing family who were directly involved in producing PPE. We got involved in a couple of projects where UK and Irish facilities essentially were repurposing from either garment manufacturers or medical device manufacturers to actually encompass face mask manufacturing into their business model. The third wave, and the wave that we're kind of in at the moment, is really focused on diagnostics and testing. So our large-scale construction business is focused on, we've got a very big turnkey project in the north of the country that is focused on manufacturing reagents for testing, so that we can really help to upscale the supply chain for testing. The other side of the business, our smaller side, we talked about CleanCube, but these products are basically small testing facilities that go out and enable people in the field to PCR test and do analysis on samples to get very quick COVID test results, swab results back. So that's kind of, they're really the ways that we've been directly involved in responding to the pandemic. The last phase, or the phase that we're in at the moment, if you like, really relates to activity around testing, diagnostics, and actually even potentially vaccine delivery. So we've worked with a couple of businesses that essentially approached us and said we really need to find a way to get testing out into the community, and there isn't the lab capacity out there. Again, going back to the mainstream media, there's lots and lots of articles about our lab shortage. So what we decided to do was actually find a way that we could use our expertise to build very quick turnaround laboratories that could be moved around to different places to facilitate that effort. So to date we've done about 20 facilities for PCR testing, basically to support businesses in their endeavour to upscale lab capacity, and we're building a number of these more in the coming months.
mobile facilities. Are you able to elaborate a little bit on what they are and what they're used for?
Sure. Well, it all stemmed from a product group called CleanCube, which we developed for the offshore and foreign territories, which essentially are clean rooms built to the same kind of standard that we would build our normal modular clean rooms, but in a mobile format. So whether that be modular buildings, 20-foot and 40-foot shipping containers, and actually more recently we've even put those into Luton vans, kind of box vans.
So these CleanCubes, in what way are they sort of helping with the national lab shortage crisis?
Well, to start with, we work with a number of clients that had the capability and the resource to provide testing and diagnostics, but they didn't necessarily have any kind of a platform to deliver their services. So a number of clients approached us to see if we could give them like an expedited product that could get them up and running with a transportable testing facility, and they were looking for that in as quick as as little as 3 weeks. So we were obviously more than happy to kind of accept that challenge. Typical specification for these units is a BSL2, a biosafety level 2, and sometimes that's upgraded to an ISO 7 or an ISO 8 clean room. It's built to the same kind of high standard as a standard modular clean room would be, but it's quite creatively designed to obviously make best use of a very, very limited space. So, there's absolutely no compromise with the quality, but obviously the space is kind of the compromise there, the footprint. So the containers have been really popular for fixed installations, so clients are able to do on-site scale testing of employees and visitors to keep their businesses safe and operational, whereas the box vans have typically been used for applications that require more flexibility to deliver across kind of numerous different locations. For example, the PGA Tour Golf, we supported them with a mobile box van, and that basically kept the PGA Tour on track. And so, perhaps not so much of a priority application, but people still kind of need their entertainment. And actually, on that note, we have delivered a number of units to TV and film production studios. And although that doesn't seem as critical, in a time where the arts are facing some really serious challenges, it's meant that these industries have been able to keep going and keep thousands of people employed and engaged in meaningful projects.
Mark, you mentioned the arts as an industry that's struggled. How do you see your own industry coping beyond the pandemic?
Well, I think it's really difficult to make any predictions in this climate, but I do believe that the clean room industry is probably one of the best, most well-primed and experienced to help really support in these difficult times. If you think about it, contamination control is suddenly an area that is gaining a great deal of traction. A lot of our business comes from response to regulation imposed on businesses, requiring them to consider current good manufacturing practices or to adopt best practice to satisfy kind of their own clients or auditors. But in today's world, control is kind of the new norm. So risk management, segregation, considered workspaces, controlled environments, filtration, these are all kind of terms that are being adopted on a far wider basis than ever before, and it's the responsibility of industries such as ours to lead from the front and kind of share our vast experiences with those that are new to this arena. I believe that over time we'll probably see a new wave of industries adopting upgraded production environments, seeing the steps as kind of a responsible way to protect staff and to safeguard against the risk of potential downtime. I would imagine in the first wave we'll probably see it will probably come from B2C kind of applications such as food manufacturers. If you think about it, we've seen quite a lot of spikes in COVID related cases in food manufacturing plants, and a lot of that comes down to the environment itself and poor segregation and bad control. So I think those types of industries are the industries that will quickly kind of upgrade their facilities to be able to stay in production and stay safe for their employees. I also think we'll see a large number of international inquiries as other countries look to adopt best practice, and hopefully they look to the UK as one of the leaders in that field.
Mark, you mentioned the international market. Are Gartek actually set up to cater for anything beyond the domestic market?
Yeah, absolutely. We mentioned the CleanCube range earlier. That's a product built in the UK, but it's primed to be shipped across to foreign territories. But we're also working with a number of distribution partners and actively kind of seeking more distribution partners actually across the globe to bring our range of ISOPODs to an international market.
Okay, ISOPOD, do you think you can elaborate a little bit on what that is?
Yeah, sure. So an ISOPOD is essentially a flat pack clean room. So it's manufactured to the same high quality standards, and it's using most of the same components that we would use in any of our modular builds. But it's in a much simplified manner. It means that we can hold stock in the UK, like a decent stock holding, so that we can turn products around quite quickly. They can either be self-assembled by the end user, or the distributor, or even a Guardtech installation team can kind of travel across to the territory and go and build the products whilst they're there. So the units they're customizable, configurable, they can be extended, they can be relocated, and they're available in hard wall, soft wall, or kind of hybrid formats. We've standardised a lot of those components so we can hold a really good stock, and they can be available in just kind of a matter of days. Really what we noticed was that there was a gap in the market for rapid installation clean rooms. So although that did exist as a concept, the standardised quality, the build quality wasn't quite to the same standard as we would expect from a standard modular clean room. So it was a market we were really keen to get involved with and kind of bring our expertise. But what we didn't want to do is just replicate what already existed. So we spent a lot of time in kind of prototyping a different way of building. And essentially what we do is we utilise a frame structure with some bespoke components that allow us to then use a number of very standardised components that fit in with that frame. So it gives the end user a lot of flexibility and choice of how they want to configure that unit. It gives them a very high quality clean room for a relatively low price point and in a very quick kind of turnaround time. So we really feel like that was something that strengthened the brand, rather than we didn't want to take away from kind of what we feel is the high quality mark that the Gartek brand sets.
So finally, what exactly do you think the future might hold for Gartek clean rooms?
So we're still obviously very much concentrating on our large scale turnkey construction projects, and we're hoping to grow that side of the business. We've taken on a number of additional staff this year to help support that side of the business and grow. So we're still very much interested in large scale pharmaceutical builds, semiconductor builds, and there's a couple of those on the horizon for us. But there's also been for us a very, very big focus on UK manufacturing. How do we extend our expertise in construction and apply that to off-site manufacturing? And so we are putting a lot of energy and resource into that. I would imagine in the next year we'll probably take on a number more employees to really push that side of the business. We feel that the products are really there. We've got some online configuration tools that are coming up soon so that customers can build those, developing distribution networks. So our plan for growth is really quite strong, and we really, like I said before, I think we feel very well versed to support the national effort and also kind of the international effort against the pandemic.